such fans of them, and you know, I wanted to, you kind of want to give, honor to that character. And yeah, I think too, when you love the character, like you're saying, loving Neville and having loved Ginny, like I love her for all the things that I know beyond the film. Like my relationship to her, and I think obviously most people's relationships to the characters, is like so layered and so deep because there is the world of the book. And if you haven't yet read the book, I definitely would read the book. Or listen to
5 out of 5 recommend.
Or listen to the audiobook. No, because it's like there's a whole other world. Someone said they hadn't read the book yet. But yeah, it was pure excitement, but also a little bit nerve-wracking having no role development.
And from a purely like selfish point of view, the job that we do is fun. Like, I have a lot of fun being on and around set and working, and the people that we had the privilege to work with, it was fantastic. And so just to have more, I guess you call it screen time, but it's more to do just be more involved and hands-on on the project, to be around those people more, to be able to be on set doing all the different scenes. It's just fun, and that's what I got into the job to do in the first place. So yeah, I mean, it's great for loads of reasons. It's Harry Potter, it's great, I loved it.
Okay, so we have a question from Discord, and they said, it's a question for Matthew. We loved you in all things great and small. What was the difference between playing Neville and playing a romantic lead like Hugh?
Whoa. The accent for one was quite tricky, because Hugh Hulton is very posh. He's a landowner, part of the landed gentry, which, you know, back in the early 20th century still meant a great deal in England, and there was a lot of people there who were working class farmers, and they would all be beneath him in terms of class, and so to sort of hold that level of that natural confidence that comes with having gone to private school and being brought up as being superior is not something that's very natural to me at all. And capturing his voice was quite crucial for me, and I had to sort of find that first before I could find the rest of it. But he's actually not, in terms of who he is, he's not too similar characteristically from Neville. He's actually a very good person. He's very pure, and he does things that he thinks are right, and frequently does stupid things because of that. He thinks they're the right thing to do, but he ends up bumbling it and making a mess of it. So actually, you know, in terms of story, they're quite similar characters, but it was just in the way that he carried himself that was very, very different. You know, Neville was very shy, and his shoulders were hunched and very sort of introverted, whereas Hugh is used to walking into a pub and everyone goes quiet and they look at him and they turn to see him because that's the landowner, that's Hugh Hulton. And so he carries himself completely differently. He has his shoulders pinned back and he can talk to anybody. He could be happily go to visit the Houses of Parliament or Buckingham Palace, or he can go and visit his farmers and go to a local pub and go to a livestock sale. He can move between all those worlds in a way that Neville never could. So they were similarities, but also big differences. But it was fun. I loved the show. It was great. It was Series 2 starts in 2 weeks, so I hope you enjoy it.
So Harry Potter was such a large ensemble cast. Do you have any memories from working with any of the other specific actors that you got to do lesser scenes with or anything?
I mean, very hard. Everyone. I also loved how like each film, well, I think more like the 4th film onwards, you know, there was always new characters too, which was so lovely. It kind of like mixed it up. Felt like, new kids starting at school, and it like mixed the chemistry up always, which I think was fun and kept you kind of evolving and changing. But yeah, I could not pinpoint any. So, I mean, as I said, the Weasley family, I naturally spent a lot more time with all my brothers. But yeah, I loved the scale of it. I love the scale of Harry Potter. Even just the sets themselves were so big. You never felt there was always something happening, there's always someone to meet, and also, you know, obviously you will see the actors and the people we've played alongside, but so much of the crew too became so close to us. We became, you know, a lot of the crew members worked through the series like we did. So I made like really great friends within the crew too, but yeah, I loved the scale of it and just meeting so many people and learning so much from other people too.
We were really fortunate that that everybody involved with the production was just the nicest, most accommodating, generous people, and that happened every single year. And as Bonnie alluded to there, we had this wonderful moment where every year there'd be new characters would come in, and we'd be so excited to find out who's going to be playing them. You know, who's going to be playing Gilderoy Lockhart, who's going to be playing Lupin, and then we had the characters, you know, Cho Chang and Cedric Diggory, and all these new characters every year. And every time they cast someone new, they just fit straight in. I don't know whether they vetted these people, not just for like their acting ability, but they were just, everyone was so fantastic, and it was just a real pleasure to be around all of them. And I can't really single anyone out, to be totally truthful. I mean, I feel like I learned something from all of them, and particularly adult actors, I'm 32, but you know, the adult actors, they just really took us under their wing, and it can be hard working with young kids, especially when there's a lot of them, and it's you know, boisterous and not, I mean, I speak for myself, but not really very interested in craft and, you know, acting and all that kind of stuff. They just never lost their temper, they never lost their patience, they just had so much time for us and steered us in the right directions, and still friends with a lot of them today. So I would, it would be remiss of me to single one out. I think they were all of them equally fantastic.
This young lady would like to know, if you could go back in time with what you know now, would you take these parts again, or would there be another part that you might want to play?
Would definitely do it all again, and again, and again, and again. And I wouldn't want to know anything about like how it would be or turned out. Like, I think there was something so enjoyable to allow it just to evolve as it did and develop as it did. You know, at the beginning, you know, everyone kind of signed on to do 2 movies, and then they allowed that to sort of develop and see where it went. I'm sure by the producers, by like Prisoner of Azkaban, were like, this is definitely going all the way to the end of the series. But I think just not knowing and just going along for the ride was so much fun. I think after playing a good character for so long, it would be fun to step onto the other side and play some type of kind of evil role, or Death Eater, or Bellatrix, or something like that. It would be fun to step to the other side. I'm sure that would have been a whole different world of the kind of wizarding world. Something like super witchy could be pretty fun. But yeah, I would definitely do it all again. And I'm so grateful that it happened, and also that my family were just like, yeah, let's do this, let's go for it, because I'm sure they too were like nervous of how it would kind of pan out, and they were just there with me every step of the way, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for them too. So grateful that like I dragged them along with me too. So yeah, Bellatrix maybe, I don't know. Well, when I was a kid, and I think when you're young and you want to be really tall, well, I definitely did all the time, I was like, Hagrid is so big, like that would be so fun to play Hagrid, just I guess to be on stilts and be tall. And then the more I understood all of the layers of the costume that Robbie Coltrane had to wear, I like slowly started to change my mind.
You'd be a good Hagrid, I think. Actually, Bonnie said something really interesting there. It's kind of hard to imagine now, but we had no idea that we were going to be making all of the books into films. We signed up for the first 2, and I was kind of, because I'm a eternal pessimist, was convinced that we'd make 2 and that would be it. And it just didn't feel like, the books were such a phenomenon that I just didn't believe that we would be able to do them justice in a way that people would want to keep going to see them. And so yeah, I genuinely just every time the contract was up for renewal, I just assumed that they would not do it, and so there was kind of always an excitement when we found out, oh, we are going to do Prisoner of Azkaban. Oh, that's fun. We do that, and then I remember a couple of people had said they were sort of getting a bit, not bored of it. That's the wrong word, but like they weren't sure if they wanted to do any more. And then I'm panicking about, I want to do more. Please. So like just all this kind of step of the way, like you just didn't quite know until, genuinely for me personally, I didn't know that we were going to be making all of them until we literally got on set for Deathly Hallows.
Do you remember in the last few, it was like, okay, are you in this to the end? Or like,
yeah.
Like the last three were like all one.
Right.
I'm sure right at the end they would have got nervous, like if someone drops out
completely.
At number 6, that's gonna like significantly change things.
I mean like chatting to Dan just like in the makeup bus, just like, so you wanna do them all right now? Yeah? Oh, just checking mate. No, I knew you would, that's fine.
Change the chosen one narrative. But it worked out for you.
But I just didn't know. And so, to complete the whole series was actually, it meant a lot to me, more than I think people realise, because I just didn't expect to do anything like that, to do 8 films, the whole series. And so no, yeah, I wouldn't change any of that. That was quite a thrill. It sounds like, well, I think that to being a kid, I was probably terrified, but in hindsight, it was a thrill to not really know what your future was going to be and how it was going to lay out, but still being involved on this wild roller coaster. So I wouldn't change it. Certainly wouldn't change the character at all. I mean, not that they were offering me any other characters anyway. But I certainly wouldn't change Neville. No, it was a fantastic experience and journey, and I've been, and actually to echo what Bonnie said, I have been quite fortunate since Neville. I've played mostly not particularly nice people since Neville. And it's quite a thrill. So perhaps going back on the project like Harry Potter and playing someone a little less straight-laced would be a good. I mean, they had fun, didn't they?
They looked like they had a good, yeah.
Yeah, Tom and Jason. Yeah, too much fun actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd do that.
So which film did you find most difficult to film and why?
I would say Deathly Hallows Part 2, just because I was like sad that it was coming to an end. And there was like it felt like every day you were like, is someone going to die today? Like so many characters died in the Battle of Hogwarts, so I was like, I can't do any more emotional like deaths knowing that like we're losing all these people. But then there were a lot of characters that also came back for that kind of last kind of climaxed battle, which I loved. And I did really love the kind of slightly more like physical action type thing. So I really enjoyed that part of Deathly Hallows. But what was kind of confusing actually about that last film, now I think about it, is we shot them like simultaneously. So we shot part 1 and part 2 at the same time. So, which are quite different films in the end. But I would say that was the most challenging just because, just my own stuff of coming to the end of this journey of 10 years. And also just the kind of performance. I think just a few particular moments, like, when we think that Harry's dead and Hagrid's carrying him, and that was quite an intense scene. But anything that was challenging was like even more enjoyable because it it allowed you to step up to that challenge and really focus and perform. But yeah, I think it was just really surreal. I mean, I remember actually we thought we finished and then we came back to do the epilogue, like the 30 years later sequence, so that was kind of fun coming back again. But then it took a while, after finishing filming, when it really sunk in, just like it's finished. And it took me, I don't know about you, Matt, but like a long time afterwards, I think longer than I thought, to actually like find closure on it and realize like we weren't coming back to shoot again.
It's probably the premiere, to be honest.
Yeah, I think even like past that.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Thinking like, oh, when is the next shoot going to be?
Yeah.
But yeah, Deathly Hallows, to me, maybe it's honestly because it's the closest in my memory. But yeah, it was, a little challenging.
When you say the hardest to shoot? Do you mean as in like challenging as an actor, as a performer, or do you mean like just the one you didn't enjoy?
Dealer's choice.
There was definitely some, or like when you were younger, I think especially when you're like, obviously we went through some interesting years on those in terms of like being a teenager, getting to those years where you're like, ugh, I want to do what I want to do and be a rebellious teenager. There were definitely some days where you want to just be a regular teenager and be grumpy and like not come in, or I don't know. Like there were definitely some films where
Well,
it didn't flow with that.
Half-Blood Prince was a struggle for me because I'd sort of had, and again, this is kind of what I was mentioning earlier about being involved. You know, actors, we're very sensitive people, and we like to feel like we're involved, and we like people patting us on the back and telling us we're great. And I had a taste of all that a little bit in Order of the Phoenix, you know, where we got to go to the Ministry of Magic and we're all doing all this fun stuff, we're doing stunts, we've all got cool hair and makeup with blood, and we're firing spells off at everyone. And I was like, I could get used to this. This is good, this. And the film came out and it was received really well and all the rest of it. And then I come back for Half-Blood Prince and I'm relegated to waiter. And I was just like this, carrying drinks around at this party. I had like 2 lines in that film and I was like, this isn't what I signed up for.
Excuse me.
I was Tom Cruise last year. What's this? So that was hard work. Because once you get a taste of it, you get addicted to it, you know. But you have to remember that you're still, you know, you're playing the role that is required of you at that moment. And it's one thing like being a supporting actor. You've got to have a sense of perspective on and realise what your role is within the larger production. And but at that age, because as you know, Bonnie said there, we're also of a certain age. You know, 17, whatever. We're sort of pretty grumpy, or I was. And you have to just sort of work through that. But then you know, you come back for Deathly Hallows, and it's